Alright, so here's the keg that I recently purchased. I wasn't familiar with the cleaning practices of the previous owner, so I'm going to take this apart completely and clean it and sanitize it for use. So I thought I would tape the footage for those people that are thinking about getting into kegging and just want an easy step-by-step process. The first time that you get a keg, I do recommend that you try to disassemble it fully and clean it. Check the rings, the O-rings and so forth, and the seals, just to make sure that everything is sealed up nice and tight, and then you're off to the races. So there's my keg. I'm doing this outside, so I actually have a little baby bath. It's kind of convenient because it's got the little pockets on the side where you can put your small parts, and it's deep enough that you can put your dip tube, etc., and keep everything in one place. I've got my socket sets, and I've got a 7/8 wrench as well as a ratchet, and that's 1 inch. And I've got my OxyClean. So I'm going to be using OxyClean to make sure that there's no debris inside the keg and to clean it out. Then I'm going to rinse it out, and then eventually I'm going to pump Star Sand through the keg, just making sure that everything is completely disinfected and ready to go. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is open the keg. Give you a peek inside. You can see the dip tube, everything else in place. These are my ball lock stems. Got my OxyClean. I'm going to put a teaspoon of OxyClean into the keg, and then I'm going to fill this with water. I'm not so concerned about using the garden hose at this moment because I am going to be fully sanitizing the keg when I'm done, and this is a more convenient way of making sure that I don't make a mess inside the house. Alright, my keg is about 3/4 full of the water OxyClean solution. So what I'm going to do is put the lid back on. I'm going to shake this around, and then I'm going to let it stand on its side for about 15 minutes. And then I'm just going to continuously roll the keg a little bit so that all the surfaces make contact with the solution. Just shaking the keg around. And roll it back and forth. Alright. I'm just going to let it rest for a little bit. Alright, it's been sitting for about 10 minutes. And I'm just going to roll it over so that the other side gets soaked as well. Okay, so now it's been about 20 minutes. I'm just going to give it one final shake. Open it up. You can see, I think it's done its job there. So now I'm going to take off the lid. take off the pressure valve. Just going to give it a little bit of a bath. Take off the gasket, the O-ring. I'm going to remove the gas in stem. I'll be careful not to lose that. Alright, so I've scrubbed down all my pieces. I scrubbed down the pegs, the brush, just to make sure that there's no extra debris on it. I've thoroughly rinsed out my keg. Now it's important that you get rid of all the OxyClean, so keep rinsing it out until there's no more bubbles, and then give it a little extra rinse. And in this bucket I've got my Star San, so I'm going to put some Star San in here just to quickly sanitize these components. Then I'm going to reassemble those components, and I'm going to put Star San in the keg. And then I have my CO2 tank, which I'm going to attach and run some Star San through the keg just to completely sanitize the lines and get it ready for filling up with beer. Alright, so I've got all my components thoroughly soaked in Star San. I'm taking off all the grommets and clean them, as well as the O-ring. And I've got my keg 3/4 full of Star San. Now Star San is 1 ounce in 23 liters of water solution, and it's reusable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble this keg. I'm going to run CO2 through it, then I'm going to pump the Star San solution back into my bucket for reuse. So I've got my gas line in. Now it's important not to over tighten these posts because they do have a grommet in and you don't want to compromise the seal. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit after. Let's take the dip tube. Right back into the keg. And we're going to put the O-ring back on, and I have to put down the camera for this. Okay, so we have the pressure relief valve put back into place, and the O-ring is back on. We're going to lock that back into place. So now we got sanitizing solution inside. And give it a whirl just to make sure everything's getting coated, and then we're going to run our CO2 through. I'm going to attach my tap and the CO2 and sanitize the lines. So I've secured the outgoing peg. and I noticed that there was a little bit of a leak, so I added some plumber's tape just to make sure that we had a nice tight seal. I also replaced a couple of the grommets. I'm going to do the gas side. And I replaced the grommets on this as well. We're going to tighten that all up. Now I'm going to attach the gas line. It's a lot more challenging when you only have one hand. Let's move this over a little bit. And the top line. Open up the gas. And let's pressurize it. So we can hear it pressurizing. Can't hear any leaks. So I'm pretty sure that we got a decent seal on that. And there we have the star sand coming out. So this keg is good to go and ready for beer. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick little video on preparing a keg for kegging. So there you go, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this quick little tutorial on preparing a new keg for getting ready to dispense beer. So that's been cleaned and sanitized and it's all ready to go. Next thing to do is to siphon in our beer and we're off to the races. So I hope you enjoyed my video on how to take apart and clean and sanitize your keg. Thank you for coming out to Greedy Dragon Brewing. If you like what you see, please subscribe. So come on over, pull up a chair, have a beer with me. Cheers.